Welcome to this virtual Letchworth committee meeting that's being conducted with members and officers at various locations communicating via audio, video and online. There is also the opportunity for the public and press to listen and view proceedings. Before the meeting starts, I would like to invite the committee member and scrutiny officer to explain how proceedings will work and confirm that members, officers and registered speakers are in attendance.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. I'll firstly undertake the roll call. So when I call your name, please could you indicate your attendance to confirm that the required members, officers and speakers can hear and be heard. Councillor Helen Oliver.
Here.
Councillor Daniel Allen. Can you hear us? Oh, thank you. Councillor Kate Aspinwall. I don't think she's present.
I'm here.
Oh, sorry, didn't see you. Thank you. Councillor Morgan Derbyshire.
He's trying to get in, apparently.
Trying to get in. Thanks. Councillor Gary Grindle.
Here.
Councillor Terry Hone.
Present.
Councillor David Levitt. No. Councillor Ian Mantle.
Yes, I'm here.
Councillor Sean Prendergast.
Yes, I'm here.
Councillor Sue Nguala.
Here.
Councillor Mike Rice.
Present.
And Councillor Adam Ruggiero Chaka.
Present.
And officers Lee Ellis.
Yes, I'm here.
And we have Lewis on IT and guest speakers. Do we have Sergeant Stephen Oliphant? Don't think he's here. Diane Ketcher.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Christina Armstrong.
Yes, here.
Angie Archer.
Yes, here.
Lynn Holt.
Yeah, I'm here.
Do we have Kerry Miller?
No, she's not going to dial in.
Julia Sananda.
I'm here.
And Kava Johnson.
Speaking. Yes, they're here.
And have I missed anyone? No. Okay, thank you. Extracts from the remote and partly remote meetings protocol are included with the agenda, and the full version is available on the Council's website, which includes information regarding live streaming, noise interference, rules of debate, voting and Part 2 items. Members are requested to ensure that they are familiar with the protocol. Voting will take place this evening using the raised hand button, so when we come to the votes, I'll ask you to raise your virtual hand and go through for, against or abstain by calling each of those in turn. Are there any questions before we start the meeting? No, in that case, I'll hand over to Councillor Helen Oliver. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. I've only had an apology for absence from someone who is actually with us this evening. It's very nice to have you here with us this evening. Councillor Gary Grindle, the chair of the area committee, but I'll be chairing one last meeting for him. Were there any other apologies?
I don't think I've received any other apologies, no.
Yes, I have. Alistair Stewart from Letchworth Heritage Foundation.
Thank you very much, Lee. You did tell me that. Thank you for remembering for me. So minutes, we need to look at item 3 for the minutes for the 11th of March 2020 to the 9th of December 2020. Since the beginning of March, when we started to hold meetings remotely, we've been unable to approve minutes of meetings. We're now able to approve these minutes with the electronic signature of the chair or vice chair being applied following approval. There are 4 minutes to agree. I'm going to read out each date, ask if there are any amendments to be made, and otherwise ask for you to approve those minutes one date at a time, but we'll zip through them as quickly as we can. Anna, did you need me to are you going to take an actual vote on that, or is it okay just for us to nod approval?
Unless there are any objections or amendments to any of the minutes, I think we can just nod.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first minutes to agree are from the 11th of March 2020. I'm happy to approve those minutes, and in the absence of any amendments, we can nod them through. Okay, thank you. The 2nd of the 17th of June 2020, same. Excellent. 14th of October 2020, the same. Smashing, thank you. And the 9th of December 2020. Marvellous, thank you very much. If I propose meetings from the 11th of March to the 9th of December inclusive, I'd like to propose that we read and approve them as a true record of the minutes of the meetings of the Letchworth Committee held on those dates, and I will need a seconder. Would anyone like to second for me, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, okay, so Anna, you've been happy for us to vote. It says on my notes to take a vote, but we've been happy because there've been no amendments to nod those through. Okay,
I think that's fine. Thank you.
Anna has frozen. I'm going to assume.
Yes, that's fine. Can you hear me?
Brilliant, thank you very much. I authorise the committee member and scrutiny officer to apply my electronic signature and initials to the approved minutes. I've had no notifications of any other business, so that brings us to item 5. Welcome to those who are speaking at public participation. Thank you all for being here. I've welcomed you all individually before the meeting started because you were all incredibly prompt, so I won't go back over that now. In accordance with council policy, this meeting is being audio recorded as well as filmed. The audio recordings will be available on mod.gov and the film recording via the NHDC YouTube channel. Members are reminded to make declarations of interest before an item. The detailed reminder about this and speaking rights is set out under the Chair's announcement on the agenda. Anna, are we still without Sergeant Oliphant?
Yes, we don't have him at the moment. Just to mention, Councillor Oliver, that Councillor Morgan Derbyshire is now at the meeting.
Oh,
I think we'll need. Sorry.
Could I just give Councillor David Levitt's apologies as well?
Thank you, Councillor Derbyshire. Sorry, Anna, did you need to tell us something important as a result of? And welcome.
No, just to say, I think we need to move to item 7 because we
fantastic. Thank you very much.
Which
takes us to item 7, public participation. We have a number of speakers this evening, including 3 grant applications. And first, I would like to invite Christina Armstrong and Angie Archer from Open Art Box CIC to make their presentation on the grant application they've made. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Well, my slides, because I've got the slides to show for this. Do I?
Yes, Lewis will put the slides up for us.
Thank you. Hi. So my name's Christina Armstrong, and I'm co-director of a community interest company called Open Art Box, which started at the end of 2019, although we had been operating before then, but we officially set up at the end of 2019, expecting that we were going to be doing group workshops, and getting off in 2020 with doing lovely sociable group workshops. Could you just go to the next slide, please? So we had started at the end of 2019. We'd run a series of workshops at Stevenage Museum. We run community art workshops for people living with dementia, usually people living at home and therefore people with early stage dementia and their carers. And these photos show some of the workshops that we've done, the ones at Stevenage Museum, and then we've done some community ones with Heartswise that run social groups for people living with dementia in the community. So we did those around Hertfordshire. And if you can go on to the next slide. So then after we became unable to run our group workshops, we had to quickly work a way that we could still continue to work with our participants. So in April, we applied for a grant from HCF, the Hertfordshire Community Foundation, and we were given an emergency funding package to set up home art workshops. So we ended up putting together a programme of 16 workshops to begin with, where we were delivering to at the beginning, we had a few participants in Letchworth, but we were mainly delivering to Stevenage participants. But as time went on and we realised that there was such a need for it, we had a lot of interest, and we then expanded the programme. And we ended up between April and September with, we had 20 participants taking part, receiving weekly boxes with different activities that we'd put together, art activities that they could do at home. And then we, after the kind of success of that and the interest that came from that, we applied for an Arts Council England grant to work in partnership with North Herts Museum to run some workshops in collaboration with them, really, so that we could do weekly workshops that were focused around artefacts. So each week we had an artefact and an art activity that came from that. So that started in September until it's just finished this week, and we were delivering to 15 households in Stevenage and 15 in North Herts. And we were, alongside that, we also were running our home art workshop packs. So overall, we were delivering to 30 plus households, and we now have a waiting list to continue with these weekly art packs, because over that time, because it's been something that has been able to go on, that isn't required to be online. So we've been going to people's doors, dropping off their boxes. We're able to speak to them at the doorstep, find out how they got on with each project, and take photographs of the lovely work that they've done, and be like a regular support for them. So if you wanted to go on to the next one, and then you can see the faces of some of our lovely participants, showing off the work that they have done. And I think we've been amazed actually by how much we've been able to achieve on the doorstep, essentially. So each box that we deliver comes with simple instructions. We photograph demonstrations. We also have over the phone support, so we can help them with any kind of issues they have, or just if they just want to call us to, with any questions. But also we ring them once a week as well to, just to see how they are. So that's been an ongoing support for them. As you can see, there's been a real range. So with our museum boxes, they were looking at particular items, and then we were making pieces in relation to that. And then with our home art workshop packs, they were having the opportunity to explore a very wide range of art mediums. So we had paints, like acrylic paints, watercolours, we did charcoal, we've even done sewing, we've done collage, stained glass windows. There's been lots and lots of different activities that we've been doing, and from our feedback that we've got from the things that they've done, there's been a real kind of sense of achievement, and then quite often, kind of feeling of surprise about how much they've been able to achieve. So if you want to go on to the next slide, please. So we, as we're not able to have an actual exhibition, we show their work online, and we share a lot of what they're doing on social media. And we found that a lot of our participants, if they have been able to access online, they've then been able to share it with their friends and family. which again has kind of given them a sense of pride and a feeling of achievement of what they've been able to do, and also share what each other are doing, so they've been able to see online the work that's being produced as well. So there's kind of a sense of them being part of a project, being part of a group. We want to go on to the next slide. So as I was saying, it's specifically designed for people with early stage dementia who are still living at home and that have been shielding through this pandemic. So, a lot of them have been cut off from the normal groups, support groups that they would go to. And I'm normally a volunteer at one of the local Letchworth Heartswise groups. So a lot of participants from that group have been able to take part in this art project as well. And many of them have never actually done, any really kind of art since school. So it's been a wonderful opportunity for them to try some new things. So we did an evaluation midway through our Doorstep Discoveries project and our home workshop project in December, and collected a lot of feedback from participants with dementia. If you go on to the next slide, we also had feedback from carers telling us how much it was helping them, particularly since they've been unable to go to like their normal groups where they would be able to meet up with other carers, and they would have activities that have been organised for them. So it's been a way of kind of helping to support them and find ways to interact with their, their loved one that they're caring for, and enjoy doing something new together. If you want to go on to the next slide. And these were some more quotes that come from our boxes when we did our evaluation halfway through. So 2 of our projects have now come to an end, and we have so I run the North Hart side of it, and Angie, my colleague, she's mainly Stevenage. And we're really keen to continue this support. We were hoping by now we'd arranged for, kind of planned the projects to end around March time, thinking that we might be able to get back to our group sessions, but we're now at a point where there's a bit of a gap, and we're very keen to keep supporting the people that we have, but also to extend that support. So we have kind of established referral pathways with like local NHS occupational therapists have been referring to us as well. So yes, we're kind of keen to be able to keep offering it to local people, and after seeing how valuable it's been for them. Sorry, did you want to ask a question? Sorry.
No, it's just starting 5 minutes.
Sorry, I've gone on a bit. Shall I finish up there then?
I was just about to speak before Councillor Allen did, to let you know that you were coming to the end of your 5 minutes.
Sorry.
Just make sure that, no, please don't apologise. Just make sure, is there anything else really important you'd like us to know before you wind up?
So we're applying for another 10 weeks. The funding would help us until the end of May, which, well, it's for 200 boxes, so it might even go a bit further, but we're hoping that by that time we might be able to use that period, to start bringing people out of kind of the lockdown that they've been in, and that they might be able to access groups again. And a lot of interest has come from doing these boxes. A lot of people have now become very interested in taking part in art activities where they wouldn't have normally considered it. So we're very keen to start up a Letchworth group. Most of our participants, because I'm Letchworth based and have had that connection with Heartswise, a lot of our participants are from Letchworth. So we sort of see this crucial time as keeping connected with people so that we can continue this work and keep them active and engaged with the arts.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, I've rambled on a bit.
It wasn't rambling. You had a lot of information.
I'm a bit nervous.
I totally get it. It wasn't rambling. You had a lot of important information to share with us. Thank you for your presentation.
Okay.
Which is what I would normally have said next anyway. Thank you very much for your presentation and your time. And then I'm going to open it up to ask if any of the councillors have any questions. Absolutely no hands at all.
Oh dear.
Unless no, that's surely a good sign. It means that you've given everybody all the information that
I don't know if Angie wanted, because we obviously work as a team. I don't know if she's here. I don't know whether she wanted to add anything. If I've forgotten.
Angie, do you feel that Christina has missed a really important thing, especially as we've now got one hand up from Councillor Prendergast.
No questions is not necessarily a bad thing at all. I read this and then watched your presentation. I think it's absolutely fabulous what you're doing. So many people are in isolation, and my nan suffered from dementia, and I just wish this kind of thing was around when she was here. So I think this is absolutely brilliant. I'm really impressed, so well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd second that. I live with and care for an elderly person with dementia, and I think that she would really enjoy this. And I really, really felt for what the carer said about it being fantastic to see an activity that one doesn't have to plan, because that can get really tiring, especially if the person you're living with can't actually manage to remember that there's a pandemic going on outside. It's all very baffling for them. So thanks once again. Now, we don't take our vote yet. I'm just going to double check there are no more hands up. No, I've done a scan and there aren't. If we don't take our vote yet, we hear from the other grant applicants and then we take our vote. You're very welcome to stay, but if you would rather go, I think it was Councillor Aspin will use the expression earlier in the week, go and have a different kind of evening than watching a council meeting, that's absolutely fine too. And you're also welcome to leave. Lee will of course get back to you with the outcome.
Okay, yes. Well, I've got 2 boys to put to bed, so I might go do their bedtime.
Thank you. And Angie, I did ask you if there's anything really vital you felt you needed to tell us, and then we talked over you.
No, that's fine. I just want to say hello, and my name's Angie. I'm also the co-founder. It's my birthday, so actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to leave the meeting.
Quite right too. Happy birthday, Angie.
But really, it was just to say, just in terms of the people with dementia, actually, they have other complex needs.
Yeah.
And we're very, very aware of that as well. There's a lot of mental health, there's a lot of depression there. So these boxes are not just about the dementia, they're about their well-being as well. And we have some with harder hearing, so we're very aware of all those other issues as well. So, but thank you for giving me that opportunity. Sorry, my phone's just gone off as well. I do apologise. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angie and Christina.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for taking the time to listen to us.
You're very welcome. Which brings us on to our next application, which is, we're very pleased to have with us this evening, Diane Ketcher from the Woolgrove Learning Allotment and Transition Town, Letchworth. Diane, would you like to thanks for being with us this evening, and would you like to make your presentation to the area committee?
Yeah, thank you. Can you see me and hear me? Yes. I sent some photographs in, which someone has, yes. Thank you. My application for a grant concerns this, what is actually a half plot of an allotment on the Woolgrove site on Jackman's estate. And in 2019, I have to say that this is a Transition Town Letchworth project, and I lead the food group, so I'm involved in all things food. And I had been working previously with a few families at a project that we'd started outside the leisure centre, which is now gone for reasons we won't go into now. But it had come to my attention that there were some families with children with autism who found this gardening activity really beneficial, and especially doing it together with the family, you know, a few of the parents, a parent at least, and the child. So I decided to start this project on the Jackman's estate because there are a lot of flats there and people without gardens. So I did all my sums and worked out the plans, and applied for a grant from the Heritage Foundation, which we were lucky to receive £600 from them in October 2019. And that went towards buying the wood. Now, this picture is of the site that we were given. Thank you very much, North Herts District Council, who have given us this site as the charity site on this particular plot. No, given us this plot on this particular site. So anyway, in January I had pneumonia and had to go into hospital. So it kind of stopped for a while. But then miraculously between 22nd of January and the 22nd of March, this turned into what we will see in a few minutes, which is the finished product. Well, as it is now. The idea is that we set up, can we have the next slide, please? So we decided to construct 8 raised beds on this site and allow 4 families to come and work on it. 4 families who would like to learn how to grow food with instruction from myself and colleagues once a week, and everything is free. So they're learning how to grow food, they're learning how to get on with their children, and it's open to anybody who lives on the Jackman's estate who have children at school. So this was the working day that we had in February the 23rd, I think it was. So we had a small group of transition towners plus the lady with the baby on her back who lives very close to the site and came to help. We had the grant through by that time, so we were able to buy things like the wheelbarrow and the wood and various tools. And we also accessed a lot of tools from, requests and from Letchworth Free Cycle and second-hand things from market stalls and what have you. So slide 3, please. At the end of the day, yes, this is a group of tired people who look as though they're drunk. But anyway, we had constructed 8 raised beds on site, and rather muddy, as you can see, and erected the signpost. Now, this signage explains what the project's about, and it's actually still there. It's survived a whole year, which surprises me. And there are similar posters around the estate explaining and inviting people to come and join in. Well, when we first put those up, we had a flurry of interest, particularly of people from Garden City Academy School. But then they all kind of faded into obscurity, despite my emails, once COVID had struck. Anyway, I'll get onto that a bit more at the moment. By March the 22nd, we were ready to start. We had a shed, we had pathways, we had soil. And I was standing there the day before lockdown started, waiting for people to come and talk to me. And right at the last minute, somebody did. A family who had lived in a flat on the Jackmans and whose child went to Lordship School. Anyway, it turned out they didn't need teaching because they already knew how to grow food. But because I knew all this lockdown was coming and it was all going pear-shaped, and I thought, I'm going to have to shield for goodness knows how long. How are we going to manage this? This angel in disguise came and said, I'll look after it. I'll work 2 beds for myself and build you a compost heap or 2. Anyway, let's have the next slide and we'll see what he achieved. This was in summer last year. You see the runner beans are quite high up and the squash is doing well. The shed was put up by my son-in-law. The table in front of it, workbench, and the 2 compost bins made by our guardian angel, who I've declared is our caretaker now. We got him to join Transition Town Letchworth, so he'd be covered under our insurance. And so he still does it, even though having had his own 2 raised beds for a couple of months and grown some crops in it, he then acquired his own allotment further up the site. So those 4 nearest the shed are now available for other families. And the 2 on the left at this end are ones which I planted up, and the 2 on the right at this end with the lids over them are Polish lady and her son who have grown loads of stuff, but they didn't need teaching either, which is perhaps as well because, as I say, it's been a very difficult year, as we all know.
I don't want to make a difficult presentation about a difficult year any more difficult, but you're sort of moving towards the end of your time, Diane, and I don't want you to miss
I've nearly
anything
finished.
important.
I've nearly finished. Anyway.
Thank you.
So we need basically our project, what we're asking for is more money to continue to maintain and develop this project. And as we're coming towards the end of lockdown, hopefully we will get more customers and I can continue to teach families how to grow food and increase their health and well-being and family cohesion. We normally, our income, we would boost the money for this from monies coming in from Growers Market, but because of lockdown we haven't been able to do that, so we've had no income. So we need a lot more soil because the levels drop dramatically, and seeds and fertilizers and netting and stuff like that. So okay, I'll stop there. Oh, there was another slide, but it's only our this one. It's just not very interesting. It's our expenditure for last year.
I think it probably depends on your thinking style. I expect some of the councillors found that slide really interesting. So I'm glad you included it. Thank you very much, Diane. I'm going to open it up now to see if any of the councillors have any questions for you. Scanning and, oh yeah, Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Chair. Hello, Diane. As somebody that has an allotment, I think this is absolutely brilliant. It's great to be able to get families involved, and thank you so much for the work that you're putting in.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm gonna exercise Chair's privilege, Diane, just to ask you. So normally you were getting a little bit of income from growers markets.
Yes.
Have you would you be interested in, or have you explored any opportunities to do, say, pay as you feel honesty stalls, or is that not really practical for the people volunteering for you?
Are you talking about actually on the site or in town? Because Growers Market used to be in the centre of town, where I got a lot of passers-by coming to talk to me about, I want to grow my own food and don't know how to start, please will you help me? And that's how all this started, really. And also promoting organic gardening, really, and growing your own food. But I don't know. I don't know where Growers Market will go in the future. I don't know quite how it will pan out. We'll have to wait and see. It'll happen somehow in some form, but I'm not sure how yet.
Okay, thank you. Were there any other questions? No. Okay, then there's the same as I said to the previous speakers. Thank you very much for your presentation. I enjoyed the photographs as well as the data. As I said to the other speakers, we won't be taking our vote now. We'll do it later in the meeting. So you're very welcome to stay and wait for the outcome of that, or you're also welcome to leave. Thanks, Diane. Oh, sorry, I'm just getting a message in real time and I don't want to miss something. No, brilliant. Thank you very much. I just wanted to say hello to Sergeant Oliphant and thank him very much for agreeing to wait so that we could finish our grant applications before he came on. Really appreciate it, Sergeant Oliphant. which brings us on to our third grant application, which is Glyn Holt and Kerry Miller from September. I'm not sure that Kerry was able to join us, from Wilbury and Icknield School Parents Association, or Whisper, and Transition Town Letchworth for a grant application. Thank you, Glyn. You have 5 minutes.
Excellent, thank you. Have we got our slides, please?
I'm really sorry to interrupt. I've got to declare an interest. My children attend that school.
Thanks very much, Councillor Allen. So Councillor Allen obviously doesn't have to leave the virtual room, but he won't take part in the grant vote. Thank you. Go ahead, Glyn.
Right, okay, so hello everybody. As people said, my name's Glyn Holt and I'm from Whisper, and I'm an active member of Transition Town Letchworth. The project that we're talking about is a Transition Town project, and it's hosted by Whisper as the main beneficiaries. So what do we do? TerraCycle are a company that recycle hard to recycle plastics, and it's all about diverting it from landfill and incineration. We joined and continue to join as many of the free schemes they offer as possible, and it's a step to towards a circular economy. And an alternative, or another reason why we do it, is to raise funds, because for the waste that we return, we get a small income. So what do we collect? Well, as we can see on this first slide, it's quite an extensive list of all the hard to recycle plastics that that aren't accepted at curbside nationwide. And so some examples would be crisps, baby food pouches, biscuits, confectionery, oral care, bread bags, Pringles. The list goes on, and it's on the screen there, and it's on the Transition Town website on the link that you can see there. So to date, we're in its second year, and it's recycled nearly 1/2 ton of what would have been waste is now recycling, and it's raised nearly £1,000 for Whisper, with also other beneficiaries receiving waste that we collect, recycling, so pens go to Stonehill School, and various other things go to a collection point in Hitchin and charities that they collect for. So the collection point history, so the drop-off point, is hosted in the centre of town, so the whole of Letchworth can take part. It started as a single bin in Bamboo Turtle, but as it grew too popular, it moved out of Bamboo Turtle into one of the doorways in the arcade in multiple bins. And then it moved into Morrison's, thanks to the community champion there, Yvette. We were offered a space, and it's been really well received there. We've got multiple bins, and the public sort it when they drop it off, and it all worked perfectly, the drop-off point. In the future, we hope to grow our collection network by recycling type. So crisp, for example, would be at the sports centre, where there's a lot of that waste generated, and we can collect it in there. Children's food pouches at Bellisley, the children's cafe in town, which brings us on to sorting. So where do we sort all this waste? Well, it all comes in, and it's collected and taken to the school shed, the PTA shed, which has generally been taken over by the TerraCycle waste. It's totally over capacity. Sorry, if we could have the next picture, please. And the amount, so the number of schemes we join has gone up, the amount of waste we get in has gone up, and the minimum weights that we can post all this weight back at have gone up. Generally, they're 8 kilograms as a minimum, and so you can imagine 8 kilograms of crisp packets is a lot of waste. We'd also like to involve more people. If we could show the third picture, please. And that's the inside of the shed. That's where we do all the sorting. As you can see, it's quite cramped, and there's literally barely enough space for one person to work. Also, this shed contains all the items that you saw outside of it. So before we do anything, we have to unpack the whole shed, and then when we finish, we have to put it all back in. So it's very time consuming. So we conducted a hunt for a new sorting location with various Letchworth stakeholders, for example, North Hearts, yourselves, Heritage Foundation, Love Letchworth, but nobody could identify a suitable location, hence the grant for this eco cabin. So the eco cabin is going to be located at the school. If we could have a look at the fourth picture, please. And this would produce a much nicer, bigger space. It's insulated, it's airy, and it's watertight. Gives us space to do the sorting and store the recycling. There would be no need to unpack everything. It would all fit in there neatly, and it would enable us to grow the team and have more than one person sorting at once. The school may have additional funds that it's come across that could supplement this grant. And if we could have a look at the fifth picture, please. This is an example of what they are suggesting they may be able to afford, but those funds haven't been confirmed. It would have exactly the same role, it's just slightly bigger. So the wider reach of the eco cabin, I can't justify the cost of this purely as a TerraCycle sourcing location. So it had to have wider benefits, which were really important. As we see it, it forms an eco hub. We can involve the school. The school has an eco club, and the children already collect waste there. They can manage that waste. They could sort the waste, sort out shipments, manage the profits, and decide how they spend that, all in this container. They could hold meetings there. They could have little workshops. And Transition Town have the idea of sowing eco seeds into schools, and this space would be ideal to start that. It could host school clubs, PTA meetings, PTA events and school events, pre-loved uniform sales. Pre-loved uniform is generates a huge amount of waste. If we can divert this back into the school and get it reused, it's much better for the environment and it's much cheaper for the parents. And really importantly for myself, the wider community, the hope is that we can use this to build links between the school and the whole local community. We can involve them at events. Maybe we could host a repair hub there. We could host coffee mornings, and it could even be used to store eco items used across the town. For example, litter pickers could be stored there and loaned out. And that brings me to the end of the presentation. If anybody's got any questions, I'm all yours. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Can I open it up to, we've already got one hand up, Councillor Hone.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, it's a subject which, of course, is very dear to my heart as the County Council portfolio holder for waste management, and therefore it's something which I'm pleased that you're taking some actions on. A couple of things, really. The government's waste strategy, of course, is moving in a direction whereby the supplier of the packaging will pay for the packaging to be disposed of, which is a direction of travel which I'm sure you'll be keenly enthusiastic to make sure that that goes ahead, because we think it's important. Because packaging is a big, we know what's in our bins. The vast majority in our residual waste bins on the curbside collection is packaging. And so it's great to see the packaging you're getting in there. Certainly crisp packaging, yes, the crisp companies are keen and enthusiastic. There's a number of sites, I know at County Hall, for example, we collect crisp packaging for the public as well as from officers when they're in the site. And they come, and walkers or somebody comes around and collects them and redispose them. So that's a step in the right direction, but there's a long way to go, Glenn, and I'm glad that you're going there. One other thing is blister packs on medication tablets. They cannot be recycled in terms of if they go to someone like Pierce's, which would normally take those sorts of things, they can't take the plastic away from the metal away from the plastic. Some are all plastic and some are all metal. So, but I think Superdrug are looking at taking blister packs from their patients and using those and dispose them in a way which is environmentally friendly and gets a lot of recovery from either metal and or the plastic. So that's another thing which you might want to consider is how we handle blister packs, which for some people, particularly elderly, is a lot of wastage going in there. So keep up the good work. Glenn, if you need any directions and such like, you know where I am. I'm responsible for the household recycling centres all over Hertfordshire, and keen and enthusiastic to encourage the sorts of things you're doing. So thank you, keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, Glenn, I didn't mean to
Sorry.
thank over top of you. Councillor Nguala, you also have your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say that as a parent of children that went to Icknield and Wilbury, I seem to remember that shed on the playground that was used to house all the equipment for the summer fair and all sorts of things at the school. And I know that that space to store and to do things outside of the school is at a premium. There's hardly anywhere to put things or to do any kind of work. So I know that you need the space. And also the levels of learning involved for children in a project like this are just numerous, really. So I think it's a wonderful project and well done.
Thank you. I'm glad you remember the shed.
I do. It's so small, honestly. Not fit anything in there. It's hopeless.
Yeah, it stores all this recycling and the PTA stuff currently. So
yeah.
Glyn, I am right in thinking you are already not just working with Wilbury School, aren't you? Am I right in thinking you're also already working with another school in the town?
So this project is run by Transition Town Letchworth as the whole of Letchworth. It's to benefit the whole of Letchworth, which is why we hold the collection points in the centre of town. It's hosted by Wilbury School, and most of the funds go to Wilbury. But we work with we can't be members of all the waste schemes that we collect. So the initial motivation was to recycle as much waste as we could. So we've joined as many schemes as we can, but there are schemes that don't have spaces left that we can't join. But if we can recycle the waste and the waste there, then we'll accept it and take it in. And so pens are recycled by Stonehill School in Letchworth, and we pass those on to them, and we get a staggering amount in. And then there's various others that we pass on to a collection point in Hitchin, and they benefit from that. So, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Allen, you've got your hand up, but I don't actually know if you're allowed. I think this might constitute taking part in the debate, which you can't due to your interest. But I'm sure it was an excellent question. I also have a hand up from a member of the public. Julia. Oh, Julia, is that because you wanted to add something to this presentation?
That's
Okay,
right.
that makes more sense. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention when you talk about other schools, it's I'm sort of linked in with as a governor of Highfield School, and the head teacher there is going to be collecting crisp packets, you know, though she can't join the scheme, so we'll be shooting them off hopefully from Highfield School, which I'm sure is going to get a significant volume off to Glim, which is why we kind of need the space. So actually I think, you know, as the messages go round and we know that Lordship collects crisp packets, you know, we can actually route stuff to all sorts of schools, you know, and make sure we maximise everybody's collecting, because it's not only Wilbury doing TerraCycle. A lot of the plastic-free schools are actually sort of involved and engaged in this. So, and I say in the secondary schools are happy to support their linked primary schools. And so that's the sort of network we're trying to build, but we need the capacity for sorting before we can do that. But the contacts are already in there.
Thank you very much. So I don't think I've got any other hands up. I just wanted to ask that question so that the area committee could be clear that it was an expanding project, and it was actually, I knew already that it was benefiting the wider town, and I wanted to make sure you got the chance to demonstrate that. So the same as previously with the other speakers, you're very welcome to stay in the meeting, or I'm going to keep borrowing that expression, Councillor Aspinwall, or go and have a different kind of evening if you'd rather. And Lee will of course be in touch with you in either case.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, which brings us on to our final piece of public participation this evening, which is Cava Johnson from North Herts Diversity and Culture Group. I feel like there's a word missing off the end of the name of your group, Cava.
It's too late in the evening for me to remember. So I'm just going to say potentially it sounds right. So yes.
Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Okay, so I suppose that I'm just here to sort of report back a little bit of give some feedback on some of the activities that we have done and things that we're planning to do. I was having a look at some of the participation from the events that we held online. It was quite difficult for us. I'm not a very sort of like online person. I'm quite tactile. I like to be able to see people in person and things. So we'd run a series of workshops as part of what was supposed to be some events for Black History Month last year. And there were the Poets in Mental Health events that was for creative writing. and we had about 63 people come through to those events online, which we were quite shocked to get that many. And then we had a showcase, which was people coming online to share the poems that they had and the creative writing pieces that they put together during the 3 workshops that we had. And we had 34 people come along to share their work. We did have some that weren't quite as brave to share, but they did want to come and watch, which was really good. And then we had 2 workshops for that were run by a lady called Perlin Jean-Jacques, who's a local business owner, and she ran some hair care, Afro hair care workshops online for her, which was very difficult, she said, because again, she's a very in-person kind of teacher, but she really did her best with what she had available to her. She had about 25 people come through. We did like a bit of a mini survey, because obviously it wasn't all of the events that we had planned, but we thought let's just try and gauge how people feel about the events that we've run so far. And feedback that we got, half of the people thought that the events were excellent, and then we had 35% of people say that very good, and 15% say good. So we thought, okay, we're on the right track. So hopefully that would mean that the events that we're able to run in person, once we're able to do some things in gatherings and groups safely, obviously, should hopefully bode the expectation bodes well, for better participation and better feedback, which we are hopeful for. Not to blather on, the project that I'm allowed to tell you about, but not really allowed to tell you about, because it was a bit of a change from. It was just us trying to sort of think creatively about how we could sort of best use the funding that we had been given, and to best engage with the people who were approaching us for events. And there is a project in the pipeline. It's a little bit hush-hush at the moment. That is a project that will be run with schools, that is partly targeted at students, but then also a very big chunk is targeted at teachers. And we are hoping to run that in partnership with some schools. We are looking for schools that do want to partner with us. There is a very, very, very experienced, well-trained project planner, Stacey, and Lilith Mullins, I think some people will know, because Lilith's had a lot of experience working with the schools in Hitchin, and they are running a series of developing a series of workshops about how to speak to young people about race, and how to speak to young people about race, faith, and some of the quite difficult topics that I think that some teachers are really sort of struggling to communicate. Oh, little messages, lovely, thank you. But really struggling to communicate with young people, and they're designing what they're designing is absolutely fantastic. Again, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but the projects and the workshops, we are at the stage where we are looking for partners to deliver, who are happy to sort of work with us in delivering them. There will be like a series of sessions, so it won't be sort of like one session delivered per school. There will be like about 12 sessions, I think in total, 9, and then part of which will be delivered specifically just for teachers. So that is for primary at the moment, like I said, so there will be hopefully something that we can do with secondary, a little sort of like a little bit in the future. And then we've got a project that we were planning for May, but we're not necessarily hopeful about how we're going to be able to deliver it in May. But some of the Black History Month events that we were planning for October, we were going to have a Beyond Black History Month events in May. don't know how possible that's going to be, but at the moment it might be June or July, it might be summer events. So everything is sort of planned and ready to go. We just sort of like need to know when we can deliver. So yeah, that's what we're doing at the moment.
That was an awful lot of information to
It's
fit
a lot of stuff.
impressively short space of time. You're clearly very busy. Thank you, first of all, thank you for coming in and giving us an update. You've come along incredibly regularly and we really appreciate it.
That's fine.
Do any councillors have any questions for Cava this evening? It was a very thorough presentation, so maybe not, but I'm double checking. No, and I really think that's just because you've given us such a lot of information this evening, and I know that we'll invite you back so you can let us know if there's anything the area committee or any of the councillors can do to help you to realise these emerging projects.
No, that would be fantastic. Thank you. There was a lady, I completely missed her name, but she was saying that she works with Highfield School. We are looking for connections within Highfield School. So if you do want to get in contact with us, please ask for my contact details from Lee, and we will would love to partner with this project. That would be great.
I don't think that Julia is still here, but I will.
Oh no,
make sure
pass it on.
That's fine. Make sure that information gets to her, Cava. Your permission to do so is literally on record.
Like little plug.
Great, thank you so much. And as I said to the other speakers, it's lovely if you decide to stay, but you're also very welcome to go and do something else.
Okay, thank you. I need to eat. So yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very much. So, councillors, because we had something missing from the beginning of the agenda, rather than moving straight on to the debate and votes on each of the grant applications, I'm now going to ask the very patient Sergeant Oliphant if he is ready to speak to us this evening. And if so, we'd be delighted to hear from you, Sergeant Oliphant. Hello. Anna, do we know if we've got Sergeant Oliphant with us still?
Yeah, but he may not be able to hear us. I will send him an email.
Thank you very much. Sending an email doesn't sound immediate, so I'm going to ask.
Let's go on to the votes, I think.
Yeah, that we move on to the debate and vote. Lee, did you have any information that's pertinent to the first application up, which was from Open Art Box CIC, that wasn't included in the presentation that you think we need?
I can honestly say no. It was so very thorough. I couldn't say anything any better. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Then I would like to open it up to the councillors for debate. I don't currently have any raised hands, but I feel like surely there must be some. In which case, would any councillors here like to make a recommendation on this grant application? Propose that we make this grant application? I have a hand from Sean Prendergast.
I would like to propose that we approve this grant recommendation.
Thank you very much, Councillor Prendergast. And Councillor Derbyshire.
Second. Very happy to. Oh, I'll let Councillor Grindle second.
One of you had your hand up first.
On you go.
Thank you very much. So that is proposed and seconded. Anna, could you please conduct the vote?
Could members please use the blue raised hand button now if they wish to vote to approve the grant application for Open Art Box CIC. Okay, that's enough members for that to be approved, Chair.
Thank you very much. Do you need to take any abstentions or no? Thank you.
No, because you've got,
okay, just
got enough for just to approve it.
Smashing. Thank you very much. Which brings us on to the Walgrove Learning Allotment and Transition Town application. Councillor Aspinwall, you can just wave at me. You're right in the middle of my screen. So is that like a now wave? Or are you just testing your actual hand? Okay, Councillor Aspinwall's lost her little blue hand, but we now know that I can see her. I'm watching you. Okay, so I'd like to open it up to debate. Is that a legacy hand, Councillor Derbyshire, or are you ready to say something?
No, I'm happy to propose.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Allen? You're muted.
Still very happy to second, Chair.
Excellent, both silently and with audio. Thank you very much. So Anna, would you please conduct the vote?
Yes. Once again, could we use the members please use the blue raised hand to vote for the...
Apart from Councillor Aspinall, who's waving visibly.
That's fine, I'll count that wave. That's clearly approved, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Is it okay that I've only got a yellow hand?
Yeah,
It looks blue at our end, Councillor Gwindle.
Sorry.
Anyway, sorry, which brings us on to the Wilbury and Icknield School Parents Association, or WISPA. Could I ask if there's any debate, or if any councillors are ready to propose that we make this grant application?
Yeah, please propose it, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hone. And Councillor Nguala.
Pleased to second. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Anna, would you conduct the vote, please?
Could use the blue raised hand to vote for the WISPA application.
Or yellow hand.
Or yellow. Yes, we have enough votes to approve that, Chair.
That's great. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm just losing. I lost all your hands for a minute then, but I've got them back now, so it's fine. And that was our final approving of the grant applications this evening, which means that I'm now on the wrong page of my notes. So bear with me for a second. Okay, shall we have another try and see if Sergeant Oliphant is with us, Anna?
Yes, he has emailed me, and unfortunately he was trying to talk to us when we invited him to join the meeting, but he's having technical difficulties. Sergeant Oliphant, can you hear us now? Seems to be a problem with him unmuting his microphone.
Is that definitely something you can't do as host just before we...
I'm just clicking on it, but it's not working.
Oh dear. Can he hear us?
He can hear us, yeah. Not sure what to do.
Hello,
I think
Hey! In the nick of time.
We can hear you.
Sergeant Oliphant, would you like to speak to the Letchworth Area Committee? We're delighted to have you with us this evening.
I would love to speak to you all. Thank you, Chair, councillors, and I do apologise for my lack of technical skills in getting my work phone to allow me to speak this evening, and thank you for your patience. I shall move swiftly on, if you can all hear me still. So, obviously, many of you would have received an email from myself roughly this time last year, having returned back to Letchworth, where I started my Safer Neighbourhood career in January 2007. So I'm back to a town that I love, and I love working here, and I love working within our communities. So to support me in my team, I have at the present moment in time 4 police constables and 5 police community support officers. We do carry 1 constable vacancy, which is currently advertised, and we're awaiting to see what recruits we can bring to the team in the hopefully very near future. Our priorities that we focused on for the last year have been antisocial behaviour linked to drug-related activity, which covers people smoking drugs in the public arenas and also people dealing drugs. And we've also focused on speed, which seems to be a constant theme across the county and across the country at this moment in time. What we've done to combat that, we've done a number of stop searches. We've had a number of people arrested for drug-related activity. We've done recently a closure order, which was advertised via social media in the local press as well, targeting people that were committing crime and using an address to basically go and try and hide from us. Throughout the year, we've worked with our partners in the housing, plus the NHDC, issuing a number of community protection warning notices and full notices to help moderate people's behaviour and hopefully bring them into line with how we would like everybody to behave. We also have, to combat COVID breaches, which is has been a key part of our work over the last year, supporting public health issues. The government provided a grant to each police force and constabulary, and we've received some of that funding, which goes into providing very specific daily patrols targeting COVID breaches. and that's across the district as well as just in Letchworth. For those of you that are interested in crime statistics, our overall crime for Letchworth this last year has decreased by 27%. Total recorded crime is 1,776 offences. Criminal damage has decreased by 25% with 223 offences recorded. Burglary, which includes dwellings and commercial burglaries, have decreased by 40%, and we've had 97 reports. In terms of actual dwelling burglaries, we've had 52 offences reported this year, as opposed to the same time period last year, there was 103, so it's a decrease of 50%. Drug-related offences have actually seen an increase of 22% up to 83. But that's in part down to our activity targeting offenders. Obviously, every person that we capture is actually a recorded crime, and there's a positive outcome to that. So for me, that's actually a positive. It does reflect the additional work and patrols that we've put in. Robbery, we've only seen 6 offences this year, which is a decrease of 73% on last year. Theft-related offences, this year so far we've had 318 offences reported. That's down 42% on last year. And for the town centre, shop theft-related matters are down 46%, which is also positive. Vehicle crime is the only one where we've seen a very marginal increase, and we've had 140 offences reported this year compared to 134 last year. That is my full update at this moment in time. So I'd invite any questions, if I may, Chair. I know that's probably taking your question away from you, but
not at all. Very sensible time.
Thank you.
Councillors, please go ahead and ask any questions you have of Sergeant Oliphant. Oh, everyone's being really well behaved and putting their hands up. Councillor Hone.
I'll mute first. Yes, thank you. Can you welcome back, Sue, by the way. We go back a few years, don't we? Around the engage, explain, encourage, enforce. Could you just go through what the current, why it's happening in Letchworth, please?
The 4 E's that you've just eloquently explained, thank you, Councillor Hone, is a national stance which is sent out to us from the National Police Chiefs Council, and that is sent out to us as well and supported by our Chief Officer group in Hertfordshire and by the Police and Crime Commissioner. And essentially it is a stepped process where, depending on the circumstances, so we may get a call from a member of the public complaining or making an observation about a neighbour or a near neighbour breaching what they believe to be the COVID regulations, or alternatively a police officer may, or police community support officer may come across an incident or see something happening in town in front of them, which is a flagrant breach of the regulations. And depending on the initial response that we get, so we obviously have to ask a number of questions to ascertain whether there is actually a breach there, and we will go through that process to explain what's going on, to obviously encourage people to stop breaching the guidelines. And if we get a negative response from them, we can very quickly now go to the enforcement, and the enforcement is a fixed penalty ticket, which is obviously a fine, and that's the process that we go through. When the regulations first came in and sort of lockdown came into being this time last year, it was a very, very sort of slow stepped process, if you like, where we were obviously explaining to our residents and our communities why we were doing what we were doing, and sort of encouraging people to go home and stay home, which is the very clear message. I think as time's gone by, there's been very clear updates in the national press, locally, from our district council, also from the police force, around what people's responsibilities and liabilities are. And therefore, we go very quickly through that process now. And particularly recently, where we had the variations in the coronavirus strains, where we were seeing a significant increase in people unfortunately catching coronavirus, and therefore we were very quickly going through that process. And in some cases, it may be a matter of minutes, and in other cases, it may be a couple of days where we might get called out to the same sort of location, and we'd go through that process. Hopefully that answers the question, Councillor Hone.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Stephen. I think it was important that we all understood exactly what you were doing and how you were doing it around this, because it's something which is near to our hearts and the hearts of the residents. So thank you for that. Do appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Allen has a question for you.
I do. Thank you very much, Sergeant Oliphant. The reported crimes are going down, which is fantastic. How are prosecutions going? Because that is obviously a very different thing to reported crimes.
Thank you. There's two sort of elements to that question which I can answer. Reported crime has gone down, and I'm very aware that a significant percentage of that will be around coronavirus, and I'm very mindful that many people have been working from home, and therefore certain types of offences that may otherwise have been committed by chance, by opportunity, have not taken place. For example, dwelling burglaries obviously has seen a significant decrease, which is fantastic for our residents, but I'm not naive to the circumstances that in part is due to many people still being at home, working from home, or for a number of people on furlough. Therefore, obviously, houses have been occupied. So I accept that. In terms of prosecutions, I can't give you a definitive figure at this moment in time. And in the main, that is down to the fact that we will have people appear in court via different routes. So one route may be that you or a person commits a crime, they are arrested for that crime, taken to custody, and they are charged with that offence, and they are bailed to go to court. Other ways of doing it is we deal with people out of custody, and then we issue what's called a postal requisition, which is essentially a charge in the post. But we also know that, and you'll be mindful of this, that the courts were closed for a period of time last year. And there is still a significant backlog of cases that are awaiting sort of their court dates and court appearances. So I can't, unfortunately, give you a definitive update, but I'm certainly will go away and do some research, and I would have to do that individually myself, which I'm happy to do. And I can come back to yourself via email and give you pretty much probably an answer within sort of 5 to 10% of what the prosecution rate is, if that's acceptable.
More than, thank you very much.
Indeed, that did seem a very helpful answer. Thank you very much, Sergeant Oliphant. I was just going to take a bit of Chair's liberty and say that I've been really impressed with the responsive nature of you've been putting out some Facebook posts, North Herts Police, around You Said We Did. And for example, I've had it fed back to me from Norton Village that local officers had been there carrying out speed enforcement, and then shared that on the Facebook page, and that was very much in response to residents' concerns. So I just wanted to say thank you and feedback to you that people are really happy with that response.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time, Sergeant Oliphant. I don't see any other hands, but there's quite, oh, brilliant. I can see all the hands again now that we're not screen sharing. So I'm going to assume that no other councillors have any more questions for you. Thanks for being with us this evening, for keep battling on with the technical issues. And when you weren't able to join us at your original slot, for waiting so patiently so that the public participation, the people here for public participation could go on ahead of you. I really appreciate that. We'd be very
That's fine,
pleased.
no problem at all.
We'd be very pleased if you wanted to stay for the remainder of the meeting, but also completely understand if you'd like to go and do something else now.
I may excuse my presence and go and carry on with my evening's work if that's in order. And thank you very much all for your time, and apologise for my delayed appearance.
Not at all. Thank you very much, Sergeant Oliphant. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chair and Councillors. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we've moved the order around a bit, but I'm sure Anna or Lee will be able to correct me if I have got to the wrong point in the evening. I believe about now Alistair Stewart from the Heritage Foundation at item 8 was hoping to be with us, but that he is unwell this evening, and that would mean that Lee, you would be giving that update on his behalf. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chair. Yes. He started by saying there's not much to tell, but he says, thank you for your understanding you couldn't be here tonight. And here are the headlines. The foundation has joined the Kickstart programme, and over the coming months will be recruiting a number of young people to various roles across the organisation to support them gain future employment. The cinema are planning for the reopening when it's safe to do so. Standalone Farm is also planning to open again when safe to do so. The foundation have been successful in an Arts Council grant application, and the museum team are developing a mobile exhibition that can go out into the community. The gallery is developing a programme and again will be opening when it's safe to do so. They've been working with Letchworth schools on a funding application to support a summer holiday programme for children who are eligible for, he's just put school meals, but I suspect he means free school meals. And they have facilitated the use of the grammar school as a COVID vaccination centre and also units at the business centre by Sainsbury's. So he says these are the key things. He'll have more to share at the next meeting. Obviously, if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to either feed them to me now and I'll take them back, or you can contact him yourselves, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Lee. I'm not seeing any raised hands, and I imagine that's because councillors think that it would be sensible to ping you any questions so that you could get the answers from Alistair. So that's great. Thank you very much, everyone. I think that takes us on to item 9, which was where the bid manager, Chris Wilson, was hoping to join us and then found that he was unable to for this part of the meeting. But to make up for it, he did pop into the town talk beforehand and share some information there, which he's going to put together in writing so that it can be shared with councillors after this evening's meeting. Lee, have you got anything else from Chris that he wanted to share with us?
I just noted down the things he was telling us very briefly.
Fantastic.
Yes, 12th of April is they're anticipating the grand reopening of Letchworth Town Centre. Thanks for all the support, including NHDC and other agencies to get this going. And he made a point of saying that the multi-agency working on all this has been fantastic and essential, and you know, it's brilliant. We'll do lots of more of that. And they're genuinely anticipating that 81% of the town centre will be reopening. The hospitality side of things, the cafes and that, they're going to do their best to open up with outside seating and things. Obviously, it's quite tricky with the space issue. But again, NHDC and particularly Andrew Figgis, who's in, I think, the commercial team, has been really helpful in getting things like that and licensing and that sorted out. He talked about a new initiative called Parking Perks, I think it was, which is great. And basically a deal with the local shop. So if you spend, I don't know, £20 in Miss Greenfingers, you'll get £1 towards your parking, so that kind of thing. And so they want to get shops on board and that as well. Yeah, Chris was quite excited about maybe if that gets taken on board, it is something that could be rolled out across North Herts, which would certainly be a benefit with the potential parking prices. Great, been going up, yes, great. And with that, another officer, Chloe Gray, is going to put a proposal together to put it forward to Ian Fallstone. I think that was about it, really, Helen.
That was certainly all that I recalled, Lee.
Yes.
I'm not going to put you on the spot. Again, if anyone has any questions for the bid, they can. Chris is very responsive if you want to go to him directly, and I currently also attend the bid meetings every month. So I'm just also mindful, Lee, that the item 10 is also for you. So I didn't want to put you on the spot too much on item 9. So now, Lee, I'm going to ask you to present the grants and community update report.
Okay, well, I'm ready. I've been waiting all evening for this moment. So,
thank you.
Right, here we go. Yeah, so hopefully you will have all had a chance to have a read through. I wanted to, there's some bits of feedback on there from other projects that we funded in the past. Some nice a breakdown of the people who come and use Green Care, which is a horticultural project. And I just also wanted to let you know that Green Care recently started up again with managed socially distanced numbers, because their participants have really missed being able to come out into the allotment, as you can imagine. And Settle have just offered them a second piece of land off the Crescent. So they're going to have another space to use as an allotment, so to get more people on board. I have said to Ray to get in touch with Team Hearts Volunteering, because he needs some more help. And he's going to start doing some fundraising for that as well. He's working with Create Community Networks on that, so that's another good local organisation that are part of that. What else did I want to say? Just about the settlement as well. Where we are, I just had a brief email from Nigel Carrick just to say that they've been running as many courses as possible online. Obviously a reduced output because the sort of practical creative courses were a little more difficult to run, and not all tutors could convert to Zoom teaching, and some of the more mature students sort of prefer to wait for things to start up face to face again. But he says on the plus side, we have attracted a wider range of people on the online courses, with some from outside the local area, and that will definitely remain something that they do going forward, is open it up to more participants. Yeah, so that's pretty much the gist of that. I think that's everything.
You had a couple of items that you'd missed off the report that you thought you should feed back to us. I think you were going to give us a bit of feedback on the Holocaust Memorial event. Thank
you, Helen. Yes, I've said 2 of the bits, and this was another one. Yes, I just wanted to say what a fantastic event it was. Lots of positive feedback. The poet in residence from David's Bookshop was inspired to write a poem after that, and I'm hoping that comms team will put that out with a reminder that the link to the event is still available, so if people haven't watched it, they can. It comes in at just under an hour, and it was just really inspiring and wonderful on such a very, to say a very sensitive subject is an understatement. And the fantastic thing was that because we could do it on Zoom, we had someone watching from Israel and goodness knows where else. One of our competition winners' entries was based in India. So that was wonderful. And the hope is that we'll kind of do a hybrid of that next year. So there'll be some face-to-face element, but we'll also still be able to put it out to the world. So between now and then, I'm actively looking for people who want to get involved one way or another.
Thank you very much, Lee. And immediately, before I've even asked, Councillor Allen has a question for you.
Okay.
Oh, no, it was just a statement. The YouTube video of the Memorial Day event has been viewed over 440 times so far.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. Did anyone else have any more questions for Lee about this report? No hands up. That's great. So we'll move to the vote on the report's outstanding recommendation then, if that's okay, which is 2.4. That the committee be recommended to endorse the actions taken by the community engagement team to promote greater community capacity and wellbeing for Letchworth. If members don't have any questions, do they wish to debate the recommendation? Got no raised hands. In which case, I would like to propose that we accept the recommendation. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Allen?
Very happy to second.
Thank you very much. And Anna, would you be able to conduct the vote, please?
Yes, certainly, Chair. Could members please use the raised hand, which could be blue or yellow, if they wish to vote for the recommendation?
Looks very much like that's carried, Anna.
That's
is that correct?
Carried. We don't need to go on to the voting against. There are enough votes to carry that, Chair.
Thank you very much. So now we get, wow, that was a very full agenda. I'm really impressed that it's not quite 9 o'clock and we're storming towards the final item, which leads me to open up. With that celebratory, we've done well, point in mind, I'm going to open up to see if any officers have any important ward updates for the group. I'm looking for all physically waving hands and raised hands and see that I don't have any. In which case, we're not going to need a comfort break, and I'm going to be happy to close this meeting of the Letchworth Area Committee at 8:57 p.m. and thank you all for your attendance this evening.
Well, thank you, Helen. Good meeting.
Cheers, Helen. Thank you.
Well managed. Thanks.
Thank you,
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Lee.
Please.